Good morning, afternoon, or evening, everybody, whichever you are in right now. Welcome to the first ever episode of the GVL Music Podcast. My name is Vincent Harris. I'm your host. This is presented by Poe Mill Music, an incredible venue and recording studio. It's a great place if you have not been here. It's on Pinckney Street. Please come. Fantastic concerts, fantastic recording studio. This is the first episode of a podcast that I'm dedicating to local music, something I've wanted to do all my life, and something I've been covering for the last 13 years for the Greenville Journal. I'm very excited about this. I want every kind of music, every kind of musician. I want every voice on this show. And welcome and thank you. Thank you very much to Poe Mill Music. And thank you to Angela Easterling, who is my guest today, an amazing singer-songwriter from this area. I keep waiting for people to talk about that she's one of our best songwriters, and they aren't getting around to it as fast as I'd like. So I decided that I'm going to do it. Angela, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Angela is somebody that I've seen playing around here for years. She's done, off the top of my head, she's done these amazing albums about her own life, about social issues, about stories that she comes up with. I hate to use buzzwords, but we all kind of need them these days. I think alt country is probably the best description, but there's rock and roll in it. I think if you like Kim Ritchie or Tift Merritt or Mary Chapin Carpenter, Lucinda Williams, you're going to like what Angela is doing.
Oh, thanks.
So let's start off. Tell me a little bit about how you became a songwriter. You know, you and I have talked several times. I don't know that we've ever done the history.
Oh, really?
Where does that start for you?
Well, it actually started for me with theater. I grew up doing theater, went to the Fine Arts Center, did plays, but I always sang. I played in the school band. I sang in the choir. I loved doing musicals, but I kind of envisioned myself going to New York and trying to get on Broadway. And I went to college, went to Emerson College in Boston, musical theater major. But at the time, in the 90s, all of the music was like this Lilith Fair thing that was going on. You know, all these female artists, wonderful artists, the Indigo Girls, Tori Amos, Sarah McLachlan, all these people. And I was really getting into that. And so I got a guitar when I was a freshman in college. And within a week, I'd written my first song.
Wow, okay.
And so at that point, I kind of really found writing. I had never really thought about writing up until that point, but when I found writing, I found something that was really empowering for me, because with theater, I felt like I was always waiting for someone to do a production, for an audition, to get cast. But when I found writing, I was like, well, I can write a bunch of songs and I can go to an open mic night and play my songs, or I can, book a show and play some songs. And I really love that, because I'm not a patient person. I'm not good at waiting around for the opportunity.
Right.
So, and I loved having that outlet to express myself as well. And so for a while, I really tried. I finished college in California, and I was trying to do the acting thing, and I was trying to do the music thing, and I just found way more opportunities through music. Even the acting opportunities that I had were music-based. I was in a movie with Hilary Duff, and I was a musician in that movie. That was one of the biggest acting paychecks I ever got.
What was the movie? I have to know what the movie is.
It's called Raise Your Voice. When we were filming it, it had a different name, but the name they settled on was Raise Your Voice.
Now, is this one of those things where you had to pretend to sing and play in the background, or were you really playing?
A lot of times we were really playing.
Okay.
And we had to try to play back. And it was hard.
Yeah.
It was really hard, because we didn't know the songs, and they would come in and be like, here's your playback, play to this.
You didn't know the songs?
No, we'd never heard them before. And sometimes they would be filming us, they'd have a boom mic filming. And there was one scene in particular, I remember, that I had to play conga drums, and I am not anybody who's ever worked with me will tell you.
She plays guitar, everybody.
I have no business playing percussion, especially not conga drums, but I had to play conga drums to play back, and the director wanted me to thrash my hair around at the same time. It was hard, but it was a good little paycheck. It was one of those things where you had to be over 18 and look younger than 18, which which I was at the time. I was in my early 20s, and that was a good little paycheck. I paid off all my credit cards with that.
Well, now let me ask, since you had the experience in theater, did that lend it to being a better front person performer once you started playing on stage?
I don't know. I think that what it did do was it made me look for stories. Like all my songs are like a story. I'm always about the beginning, the middle, and the end. I love story songs. I love trying to convey something in that little 4 minutes that you have. And that I think is what I'm always looking for. And I think that really comes from theater.
Well, let's talk first of all about some older stuff, and then there's a really new, exciting project that I want to talk about. First of all, let's talk about your point of view from songwriting. You mentioned that you love looking for stories, telling stories. A good bit of the stories come from your own life because, if I may, I'm going to dip into this a little bit. In addition to being a singer-songwriter, you live on a farm with your partner and 3 young boys.
Right.
So everybody with 3 kids, I'll let you take a breath on that for a second. Tell me a little bit about how your life and your songwriting intertwine, and maybe how sometimes they don't, the stories that you hear or come up with.
Well, yeah, I'm really into history, and I feel very connected to both my personal history, my family's history, and then I also find myself feeling very connected to societal history, our history in our nation, and people's history. And so living on land that goes back in my same bloodline over 200 years, it's a powerful thing every day for me. And especially remembering when the house that we live in now, my grandfather lived there when I was little. He was a farmer, and he's kind of a mythical figure to me.
A character?
He is. Yeah. He was that, that strong, silent type, that World War II generation. He worked his whole life. He worked hard. He showed that he loved and cared for his family with the work of his hands. And that work lives on, even though he passed away almost 30 years ago. That work lives on. And my kids never knew him, but they live in a house that he built. And they see the fences that he built and the land that he worked hard to preserve for them. And so that's really powerful. And that's figured into a lot of my writing, is that land and the history that land holds, not only for my family, but going back further. It was Cherokee land. So it's a really amazing thing that, a lot of people don't have. And so I really, that it's hard not to be inspired by that.
Well, on a larger level, let's talk about that. How connected, you were out in California, but to me, you seem very connected to both the lore and the feel of the South. It seems very much part of you. Tell me a little bit about how that works its way, because you live in this beautiful country in the South. How does that work its way into your writing? Or do you feel a connection to it that helps your writing?
Well, there's both. I mean, when I was growing up, as I said, I was really into musical theater, and I was listening to, I was driving along in my car when I was 15, like rocking out to the Les Mis soundtrack and stuff. I wasn't like listening to country music or anything like that. Then when I went to Boston and I started writing songs, and I thought, like, I want to be like the Indigo Girls and stuff. And people were telling me, "Oh, you write country music. You're a country singer." And I was like, "What? I don't even listen to country music. I don't know what you're talking about." Well, then I moved out to LA. And I got really into this sort of alt country scene out there that goes all the way back to Graham Parsons and the Flying Burrito Brothers and the Byrds and Crosby, Stills and Nash. And I discovered Emmylou Harris. And when I discovered Emmylou Harris, I was like, okay, if that's country music, then I'm country music. And I really, it was interesting being in California and discovering the music of my roots, discovering the Carter family, Hank Williams, Loretta Lynn, and driving around in LA listening to that stuff, but then also discovering it filtered through like the lens of the 60s and the 70s. had a really big impact on me. But I think it's just in my blood. Like, it's going to come out because it's in my blood.
Yeah.
My ancestors sang this kind of music out on their front porch, and as I said before, I feel very connected to that heritage, and so I tried to get away from it. It didn't work, and now I'm embracing it.
I've tried, but this accent is just too thick for me to move beyond the South. I want to talk about one more thing before we talk about the next project. Because we've talked a lot about history and stories and drawing songs from within yourself and without yourself. I want to talk a little bit about your mischievous streak that you put in these songs every once in a while. I think about Table Rock, leaving the clothes up on the dock. Let's have one night without the kids.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that side of you, because that, I love it when that peeks out, that kind of fun, I don't know if adult, but that mischievous side that you have.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, that's just that little girl in me that never went away. That's the part of me that, I'm really a child at heart. Brandon will tell you that the main reason I take my kids to theme parks and stuff is because I want to ride all the roller coasters. That's just me. I'm always going to be, I'm looking for fun. I want to put that in there. I do write songs about things that are sometimes kind of deep and dark, but I try to put, have the light in there. I want to keep the light in there. Life is beautiful. It's amazing. Life is a gift. And
especially on that small screen level, when it's you and the person you love and the people you love.
Yeah, it's such a gift to have that. So I want to have that in there too.
All right, so let's talk about songs from the Knoxville Project, because you were telling me a little bit about this before we started. Mm-hmm. This is, I'm thinking, your first ever quote unquote concept album that you're working on. Yeah. This sounds really exciting. Tell me everything about it.
Okay. Well, we're going to dive deep into family history again. This was inspired by some things I've learned about my family. My dad's maternal ancestors that lived in Henderson County, North Carolina during the Civil War and were Union sympathizers despite living in the South. Mm-hmm. And the men were drafted into the Confederate Army and deserted the Confederate Army and went to Knoxville, which was the closest Union Army base or fort or location, and joined the Union Army and left their families behind in North Carolina. So this is the story of the women and children and what they had to go through to survive those times. Okay. And what they eventually had to do was my great-great-great-grandmother, her name was Narcissus Middleton.
That's a great Southern name.
Isn't it? She and her 10 children, including her adult daughter, walked from Henderson County, North Carolina to Knoxville. And if you've driven that way, which I'm sure you have, those mountains way up high either side of you. Wow. Her grandson was a baby. She had a baby. They had a 2-year-old. They had a 4-year-old. They were little kids. It took them more than 2.5 weeks to get there. Wow. And they all survived. And that was the only way they would have survived, because the Confederate government of Western North Carolina, based in Asheville, was not letting them have any provisions because their husbands had deserted the Confederate Army.
And they were considered sympathizers.
Yeah, they were considered traitors. And even though they were loyal to the United States, so it's a fascinating story. There was a handwritten account by Narcissus's adult daughter Mary that I took everything from, and I've been working on it the last 3 years. I've written close to 30 songs for like an Appalachian folk musical, like a big. I would love to see on the stage. Full cast, all the kids, everybody.
Wow.
But when I kind of got to a stopping point last fall, I was like, gosh, I really want to record this whole thing. I want to do this with a full cast. But the amount of money and resources and time that I don't have right now to do that were overwhelming me. And so I kind of sat on it for a few months, and then I was thinking, it's time for me to have another album out. I've got all these songs, so let me go through and pick some of them and pull out, and we'll do just a little bit of it. So that's why it's songs from the Knoxville Project.
Right.
It's not the whole thing. We picked 12 songs, and kind of looking at, because I really got into kind of theatrical songwriting. So many of the songs are like a big group of people, or there's some soldiers over here, some kids over here. There's a bunch of stuff going on. We weeded all of those out and kind of just focused on the songs that like one or two or maybe three people could sing that are more, or songs that I could do like at a live show with me and Brandon and be part of the show and don't have to be in that theatrical setting to work.
Now, is this sort of a teaser for the full, like when people hear this, do you want them to think, okay, I want the whole thing, or like this is a preview for what the whole thing could be?
Yes, that's what I want. I want them to want to hear the whole thing, because I've written songs for the children to sing. I've written so much that I'm really proud of, and had to leave like a lot of my favorite ones off just to have ones that could, for, like I said, work at a show or work with just me and Brandon singing them or something. But what we did on this album, which is really cool that I've never done before, so here I got all these songs down to like the ones I could sing by myself, and then I asked a bunch of people to come in the studio and sing with me. So I have all these collaborators on this project that I've never had before.
Okay.
Darby Wilcox does a duet with me. We have Admiral Radio, wonderful duo from Columbia area. Yeah. We have two of the women that are in a bluegrass group called the Wilder Flower. So they're a trio, and two of them came in and sang with me. We've got Elizabeth McCorvey from Hendersonville.
Nice.
And then some other great, it's all acoustic. Well, there's a little electric on there, but there's no drums. It's all like fiddles and mandolin and banjo. But it's not, I wouldn't really call it a bluegrass album. We're sticking with Appalachian folk, because it's still very theatrical in that there's like more information and singing going on than there is like burning up like fiddle solos and stuff. You know, that part is kind of the backdrop to the presentation of what's going on in the story. And I understand you're going to be doing a couple songs from that here in a few minutes, right? Yes, we are, yes.
What are they called?
What's that?
What are they called?
Well, we're going to do one that's called Trouble, which is a song that Mary sings kind of at the beginning, where she's finding herself in the middle of historical times and just wants to live her life and doesn't want to have to deal with all this. Like, I really was trying to dig into, how does it feel not to be the man on the battlefield or the person making the decision to go to war? How does it feel to be the person that is affected by all this and just trying to live your life and raise your kids and do all the things you need to do, and now here you have to like live with this situation that's going on. So that song is called Trouble. And it's funny, you came to see me a few weeks ago and we played that song, and some guy in the crowd goes, "What is that about?" And I think he thought it was about what's going on right now.
I was just about to say that plot thread sounds awfully familiar.
Well, I tried to, I think that, I wouldn't have been able to do this if not for certain things going on right now. And I tried to weave that in a, kind of a reflective way as much as I could hopefully it's not like too on the nose or over the
preachy
top,
or anything,
but not preachy. Hopefully,
because this is a story. This is literally
a story,
historical.
and it really happened. Yeah. And then the other song that we're going to do today is called "Count All the Stars," and that's actually the one that I did as a duet with Darby on the album, and it sounds really cool. She's amazing. And this one is sort of getting into the middle of it when you have these two women, a mother and daughter, who have had to step out. You have to think about, this is a time when women couldn't even vote. My great-great-great-grandmother got married and had her first child at 15. Wow. She didn't have a lot of choices in her life, and yet here she is on her own, no man, no husband, having to step out and do this big, bold thing, and they're like halfway through, and they're getting along their way. And how would that feel for a woman of that time period, to have that empowering experience, and how would that change you? So that's what that song is about.
It sounds really cool to me also that you were able to pull from our local Southern scene to make the record.
Yes. I really wanted that to happen. Like I kind of had a wish list of all the people that I wanted to be on it, and everyone I asked said yes. I mean, we've got, and not just the vocalists that I mentioned, but we've got like Matt Purinton and Sam Kruer from the Swamp Rabbit Bluegrass Band, and Robert Gowan, who plays with Wasted Wine. And
plays every instrument on earth.
Yeah, I mean, we've got, it kind of blew me away, like people coming in and just the level of talent and professionalism and grace and soul that they brought to all this stuff that I wrote is, it's kind of a dream come true getting to do this.
Well, and I would argue that it's a sign of how highly they think of you and your writing. That they
thank you.
That for you. So where can people find you? Where can people learn more?
AngelaEasterling.com is my website, and I'm super proud of it. I just rebuilt it myself. It's all brand spanking new. And then I'm on Instagram and Facebook, Angela Easterling Music, and they can find that. And just be on the lookout. The album should be coming out later this summer, early in the fall.
Awesome. Well, I think we're going to go listen to these songs now. Thank you so much for doing this. Thank you for being here for the beta testing episode of the GVL Music Podcast. I'm delighted to have you. Thank you again for making time. Again, 3 young boys, ladies and gentlemen. Not easy. We're going to have Angela and her life guitar music partner, Brandon, play some stuff for us in just a minute. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Trouble's back for another round. Thought we had that devil buried deep down underground. Then you see him lick his chops, and you know that old familiar smile. Don't it send a chill right down your spine? Make you wanna run so far away and hide. But there ain't nowhere to run from him now. Maybe it's your time. I just wanna live my life. I just wanna do things right. Just want to be loved alone. Go to work and raise my kid, not be burdened by all this history with the end yet unknown. Oh, 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 we're in trouble, trouble, trouble. Trouble, trouble, trouble. Each new day, a new outrage. Shelter my mind, try to disengage. Can I survive this unholy phase by being numb? Trouble pulling at the strings of our brave little tapestry. One we work so hard to weave, how can it be so easily undone? So who's running this sad show from the depths of the shadow? Vincent